You are now watching the whimsically works of ArchWizard CJ. If you enjoy, be sure to like and subscribe.
400 millisecond lights aren't a problem. Before y'all go off and type some dumbass 4-page essay in my comments full of pseudo-knowledge and emotional opinions, trust me, it's happened way too many times for me not to say this. Please just hear me out. The Wulin faction aren't really a focal point of any controversy in my opinion, more so do they simply add on to the frustration of what's already there. The first question I asked when the Wulin were being dropped was, why are we adding an entire new faction of heroes when we haven't even balanced the original roster? I think in hindsight, Ubisoft asked the same fucking question with the nerfs they've been handing out to the Wulin, like they're a bunch of anti-vaccination kids. My issue constitutes from something I've literally been saying a year plus that has now been boiled down to a burnt syrup of malice and discontent for everyone who didn't listen to either me or anyone else speaking out against these issues as well as me from the first place, who are now constantly berating and undermining Ubisoft like these issues haven't been a problem this entire fucking time. 400 millisecond lights are not an issue in any facet whatsoever. They propose no real threat to game balance in terms of their current application, more so do they propose a threat to something that has been criminally underlooked and continues to be underlooked within this community. Fun. They propose a threat to fun. I feel like when people gung-ho and make these lists of balance changes and suggestions to quote, make the game better and make characters more viable, they aren't speaking from a competitive or pro league stance, rather from the stance of an individual whose knowledge or capability has plateaued and lacks either the wherewithal or passion to pursue any higher level of gameplay. And instead of acknowledging this and allowing the game to take its course naturally, demands that high level is brought down to his level, which is counteractive to longevity. I don't know what the fuck it is about people demanding short-term benefits whilst completely dismissing long-term consequences. 400 millisecond lights not being reactable is not a result of poor implementation. I honestly and truthfully believe them not being reactable is 100% acceptable and falls in line with not just other fighting games or games similar to For Honor, but other games in general. High-level gameplay across all genres of games requires a level of prediction that is reflected in your understanding, mastery, and familiarity of a game. In Fortnite, when someone shoots you, just build, like, duh. But that's the point, right? They still fucking shot you. You're not supposed to be able to react to a bullet. In Destiny, if someone shoots you, you either outgun them through skill or outmaneuver them through map awareness. Both outcomes require you to have an innate understanding of the game, and to an extent, you're predicting your opponent's reactions to either close a gap, make a play, or manage an escape. MOBAs like Smite, hero shooters like Overwatch, RTS games like Command & Conquer, MMOs like World of Warcraft and Elder Scrolls, even the late and great Apex Legends. There is no game in which PvP is involved where you can innately react to everything. And if there is, chances are we haven't heard of it because it's fucking trash. Now I know what somebody is thinking. CJ, the only fun I really find myself having it from is being better than other players. If you're trying to tell me that I am not high level for my inability to conquer this issue, does that mean that I should just quit? I should just cease and give up playing For Honor? Firstly, I think this mindset of victimizing oneself because of a longer time to grasp concepts than another is fucking bullshit. Everybody in every game and everything in life has growing pains. Yes, some concepts take longer for some to grasp than others, but growing pains eventually pass, whether it be a month, a year, 10 years, etc. I'm not saying that 10 years later you'd understand something that took someone else a month to, but I am saying that time invested will guarantee some sort of growth. Not time played, time invested. If you aren't playing with the sole purpose of getting better, why complain in the first place about your struggle to grasp something? However, I get it. Time is an investment that no tangible item or concept in this world can equate to, and me telling you to devote that to For Honor implies there will be a justifiable reason to in the first place. And the question becomes, is there? Fuck no. For Honor is a trash, linear, unexciting brawler combat experience that boasts a roster of wildly unbalanced characters, with some requiring fucking miracles to win matches consistently with, and others requiring the cognitive capability of a fucking tuna sandwich on rye bread to win a tournament with. Why the fuck would anyone in their right mind dedicate time to a game that's already a fucking struggle? A fucking 15-page essay due in 2 hours, and you started it 2 hours later ago, chore to fucking play just to reach high level, and this is fucking high level. Like, I get it, you know? I fucking get it. My belief is that people who currently enjoy For Honor at top level don't even enjoy the game because it's a shit game. Rather, they just enjoy being good at the game regardless if it isn't. That's literally it. There's nothing substantial about gameplay that will motivate anyone to keep playing other than, I've been playing this game this long, or I beat this many people I fight, so fuck it. In general, making the game fun is innately a better option because making the game fun will encourage more people to play more. Then you can deduce who rises to the top and who doesn't from a more healthy or robust player environment. Because right now, For Honor is garbage to play. In fact, not even right now. I'll take that statement a step further. For Honor itself was never fun intrinsically. In my opinion, the fun people claim they used to have wasn't because the game was fun, but because they had fun in figuring out what the game had to offer. Honestly, if we can be honest, Season 1 For Honor was by far the most broken and busted state For Honor has been in the entirety of its timeline. Warlord had an infinite health Dominion build, 1v1 tournaments were dominated by unlocked tech Shigoki, Conqueror, and Warlord players looking for free damage. You had zone flicker on every single character in game. Connectivity was so bad you would DC from your own private matches. There was no system built in for skill-based matchmaking. Ouroboros spam, Warlord 4 stacks, half the fucking roster was mashed potatoes with butter, and the other half was fucking Requiem stand users from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yet folks remember it more fondly than any succeeding seasons. For Honor was never fun on its own. The game really never had any monumental shift in direction until late either. The most impactful change they've ever made was removing guaranteed guard breaks off heavy parries and no healing when you're on your last bar of health. That's honestly it in terms of mechanics that still affect us to this day, aside from a partial of the roster being changed mechanically to influence a change of combat flow and direction. So the question becomes, why is it all of a sudden that the discussions being had are about game balance so people can enjoy the game, when Season 1 and 2 was about people exploring the game and enjoying themselves with a far less balanced version of For Honor? Here's my take on it. I think the problem with the community is that people attempt to balance things with pseudo knowledge and think what they want balanced is for the sake of competitive quality, when in reality people want balance changes that are fun. They assume competitive viability equals fun, which intrinsically for people who live for the competitive scene, yes, this is true. However, I believe a majority of For Honor players, when they scream out these balance changes, merely do so not because of their expertise in the game or lack thereof. They want viability that's also as fun to play on the highest skill level as the lowest. It's a contradicting mindset because 1, most people simply are not skilled enough to know what entails that which would keep the game structurally sound. 2, most people want instantaneous gratification, which would kill the game in the long run because players demand changes that would suit a casual audience, which will in turn make them play more. However, as people play more, they no longer are casual players because consistent time in guarantees consistent growth of some kind, and the issues they suffered while being casuals are no longer issues. So now they're playing a game in which the skill curve is beneath them, and once that becomes a majority of the players, the player base dies because everyone loses interest. I even have to admit I do this, wanting changes I know are fun, but ultimately are not competitive. However, it is my responsibility to be able to tell the difference. And the fact that most people in their hubris and anger refuse to do so is what we have in just about every comment section of a For Honor YouTuber. A combination of a lack of educational resources on Ubisoft's behalf makes conversations in the community a clusterfuck of philosophical takes on what balance is instead of a focused narrative like most other communities. I find this to be problematic because the biggest issue I can interpret from this is not only the fact that a lack of a focused narrative means we cannot come to a conclusive decision, but more so, as a community, I feel like this transgresses into us putting our focus somewhere it plainly doesn't need to be. We keep wanting this game to go Evo or esports, however the irony is that most games that have an enriched or for the most part healthy competitive scene are not necessarily the most balanced competitively. They hit that scene because they are fun and present to an extent competitive viability because they are so fun to play and fun to watch. Marvel vs. Capcom, Dragon Ball Z Fighters, Fortnite, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Smite, Mortal Kombat, etc. are examples of games that aren't necessarily balanced or confident in their current update versions, but regardless have or have had very enriched competitive scenes due to the games being fun to play and fun to watch, which intrinsically inspires a competitive spirit. Balance in itself is a subjective term, which can only be interpreted holistically through each individual because we all have our individual interpretation of what balance is. Balance to you might be every character having as many options as someone like Shaolin, Balance to someone else might be every character being as limited as Lawbringer. Balance to someone else might be having only 2 characters with the exact same moveset, so no one person has anything the other doesn't. It's important to keep these things in mind because the most quote balanced experience might not be the most fun to play or to watch, and both are necessary if we want this game to be a commercial or cult success. In fact, we need to stop holding the term balance on this fucking pedestal with gold leaves and a halo surrounding it like it's the answer to all of our problems. Subjectively throwing around balance changes like they're objective solutions or solutions of any kind just makes you come off as a dickhead. And anything that can be interpreted subjectively is never something you want to throw around as objective truth unless objectively speaking it can be found throughout the game. Should we have open dialogues that can objectively come to conclusions in a unanimously agreed upon sentiment, as well as subjective dialogue that sparks conversation for potential suggestions or subjects that can later become objectively agreed upon? Yeah. For example, did Shigoki need a rework because he was unanimously one of, if not the lowest tier character across all game modes and scenarios? Yeah. Does Lawbringer still need adjustments or a rework because aside from his ability to turtle and his long arm, his kit is comparatively as useless as Shigoki's, as he also has absolutely no offensive viability aside from 2 moves? Yeah. Should we listen to people like Trisha have a pissy sissy fit in the For Honor discussion channel on my Discord, having the audacity to make entire roadmaps for balance changes and complain about my hubris and how impossible 400 millisecond lights are to fight against, only to find out she's rep 37 trying to have a dialogue about high level? Shut the fuck up, you stupid bitch. Look at this shit. Dude, she said all light attacks should be 450. What the fuck is 450 milliseconds to the human eye? There will be literally no discernible difference in reaction time. Removing guaranteed damage will only reinforce turtling. What are you talking about? Oh my goodness. These balance changes, she tried to argue prediction and guessing were vastly different. Like, they're literally fucking synonyms. What's the difference between predicting and guess? It's just a prediction is an educated guess. What the fuck are you... This is what I deal with every single day I get on this fucking game, bro. Oh my goodness. Trisha, whatever the fuck your name is, if you're listening, this goes to you and anyone else having these words and objectifying because of personal grievances or an inability to admit fault. I'm blunt and direct. It's very obvious to anyone who's capable you simply aren't. And rather than addressing the game from that perspective, you somehow feel entitled to the same quality of gameplay as people who are in the top 1% off things that shouldn't even be a factor. It's not me being rude, it's me hurting your ego. The same ego I said leads someone to discuss things in absolutes that they don't know absolutely. You talking in the fashion you do simply proves that point. There's no hidden knowledge. You just haven't found it. Why? It's either something you can't grasp or it's something you've overlooked. But no one is hiding or hoarding knowledge you don't have for an advantage, because this knowledge is common knowledge. It's just not applied because discussing how to be good is actually a lot easier than actually being good. I think you and people like you need to just accept that and discuss balance for the sake of fun, not have discussions on how to make games competitively viable for everyone, because that in itself is a redundancy and a contradictory statement. Competitive people are competitive because they compete with the best. If you can't even compete, then being competitive is just narcissism at that point. That's all I'm saying. We should change the narrative from proposing balance changes for the sake of what people individually dictate will make a balance for honor, and balance changes that will make a fun for honor. This is the very last video I'm making, man. Not in 2019, but period, that goes into detail like this of issues and non-issues pertaining to For Honor's state of decay. I'm over it. I've been in this community for 2 years, and I'm frankly tired of the fact that nothing has changed since 2017. I'm over the hype, and I'm over the game, and I'm done pretending like I'm unaffected by it. The game is poo-poo. It's shit. I feel like shit being involved with it. This is Ubisoft's last year working on the game, and there isn't even a guarantee there will be a For Honor 2. Let's at least make the last year of For Honor dedicated to fun, and not more of the same bullshit. This has been ArchWizard CJ. I wish you all a good morrow, and I'm off for the time being.
This has been an ArchWizard CJ special. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Go, Bill. Say what? Dirty, now.